Guys, welcome back to Formula for Speed. I'm your host, Chad. This is my lovely co-host, Babyface. Please say hello.
Hello.
She's so excited. Guys, we're back with another video of, we just want to talk about what's been on our minds. We have time, so let's talk about it. And that's what we're going to do. These videos, guys, are solely for what's maybe been at the top of your minds. Her mind, my mind, everyone's mind. And again, when we talk about these things, please let us know in the comments, maybe some topics you all want to discuss. Today, we're discussing, and I was sad to hear this, Babyface. Williams was bought out by an American investment firm. And the reason why it bothered me, Babyface, because I enjoyed the fact that Williams was owned by the family. I still was hanging on to that last little bit of, if you want to say, purity in the sport, where a family owned the business, right? The old day stuff.
Yeah.
And now that's no more. And I'm like, man.
It's just so expensive.
It is. It is. I know you have to do what you have to do. But you guys know, my second team is Williams. Growing up, I've loved McLaren first, and I've always liked Williams. So when I read that, I'm like, oh man, what does this mean now? I think the investment firm, and Babyface, if you can, I forget the name, but the investment firm is basically stating they want to preserve that Williams heritage, that Williams theme. I think they just bought out to reap the benefits of the profit, right? We'll throw some money in there, hopefully turn some more profit, make it more competitive, more money comes from it, right? So I hope that is true. I hope we get to see nothing really change, but I'm sure there's going to be some changes. I hope Claire's still there in her capacity. I think she is. I hope Frank is still there in his capacity. It's just that knowledge from Frank Williams, guys, you all know. Frank's knowledge, he has so much knowledge in the sport, Babyface. So much that, and Claire does as well. So I was like, oh man, I know they had to do what they had to do. I get it. It's a business and I understand that. But it was still at the same time like, man, that was the last, I know Gene Haas has a lot of roots in NASCAR. I mean, he's like a machine himself. Williams was, I was like, man, I'm hanging on to that, but man, what do you think, Babyface?
I was sad, but I also understood.
Right.
I was also a bit relieved for Claire that this happened while Sir Frank Williams was still alive.
Right.
Because I cannot imagine what she would have gone through and what the team and maybe some of the division that would have come had this happened after Sir Williams passed. Because he created the team, right?
He started from nothing.
Started from nothing.
And if you guys ever want to watch that story, Netflix has a great movie on him called Williams.
Yeah.
And it breaks down where he came from. I mean, he came from nothing. Literally nothing. And built that team to what it is now.
Exactly. And with so much heritage in that, and his life being that team, I cannot imagine what some of the backlash would have been like had he passed and then Claire have been put in a position where she had to sell, and then maybe some of the onslaught of pressure or response that is something to the effect of, oh, you let your father down, he would turn over in his grave. That would have been, and maybe it would have even created some friction and split within the team and within the factory and all the workers. And so I was really, it kind of was a point of relief for me, the fact that Sir Frank was on board with it. That they, as a family, realized, we can't keep up with our competitors. It's siphoning so much money. We need help. And the fact that he was on board, the person that created this, the person that founded this, put his life into this and said, this is about preserving the team, this is about preserving the name, and for all the workers to continue having income and having, because they've been loyal to us, we're going to make sure that they are set up for longevity.
Right.
Takes a huge pressure off, because that would have just been that would have just not been, I don't think it would have been pretty had it happened after his passing. So I'm glad that he's on board, and I'm glad that he was part of that conversation to get this in, you know, to ensure the success and the future of Williams. But I really hope that, I think the name of the investment company is Doralton Capital.
Yeah, Doralton Capital. Yeah.
They are based in New York. I really do hope that they stay true to what they've said. And they're obviously going to keep the Williams name, and they said they're going to keep the factory where it is in the UK. I do hope that they provide the investment and the funds that are needed to make Williams competitive again, but they allow the Williams family to preserve the heritage that team has brought to the table, and really, you know, historically what the team means to the grid. It'd be weird not to have a Williams on the grid.
I think that's, for me, I think that's how they structured the deal, right? If most investments firm, Babyface, and I'm sure all of you know, if they're coming and buying a team in Formula One, they've done a lot of research. But why change what's there and what's shown to work in the past? They see, if we can pump some funds into them, as little as possible, but get the biggest return, maybe bring some bigger American brands, like maybe just talking purposes, a Goodyear may come back, or a Nike, or something that an American brand that everyone knows. That's sponsorship money. You get more funds, you become more competitive.
Yeah.
And I think their attitude is like, listen, they already got a factory. Why change that? That's too much money to rebuild a factory.
Yeah.
They already got the personnel, they got the name. We're just literally here. We purchased it. We want you to still run it. We're going to have some say-so, but clearly we just want to inject some funds to make it profitable for you and us and grow it even bigger.
Yeah, I really hope that the fan base and us that watch Formula One, that we won't be able to tell.
Right, me too.
The difference other than improvement.
Right.
That's what I'm really hoping for. I think that's the best case scenario, where you still see Claire, you still see Sir Frank, and you see the team just keep getting better and better and better, because they now have the funds to bring in better.
Right.
So I really hope that is what the future holds. It's kind of bittersweet, right? Because it's sad that in essence they had to sell.
And COVID-19, the COVID-19 situation, guys, God bless. I hope everyone's safe. We're praying for you. I think that for a fact that didn't help.
Definitely. But at the same token, I'm also very glad that we still have the Williams team on the grid. And that they weren't so proud to say, we're not selling, we're just going to go under. That they actually said, no, we need to revisit this, because it was never their plan to sell up. I think Claire is on record saying, over my dead body,
she didn't want to sell.
We're selling. So clearly
that was pre-COVID.
Right. So clearly this as a whole must have not been an easy decision. Right. But I'm also glad that they as a family and as a unit said, you know what, this is bigger than our pride. This is bigger than just us. Right. This is our fan base, our workers, everybody that has, you know, put time and depends on us. We need to do this for them. So on that token, I'm glad they found someone that bought them and ensures that they stay around.
I was honestly hoping, and you all can let me know in the comments if I'm crazy for this. I was wondering during COVID-19, I said, I know Williams is struggling. I know a couple teams are struggling. Not only them. A couple teams are struggling. And I said, if Claire ever has to, if her and Frank talk with the brothers, because there's two brothers also, right, that have a lot of, that know that team. And Frank's wife, before she passed, even Claire gave her a lot of props. Like, she helped pick drivers. Like, she knew who was going to be good and who wasn't. She just knew. And I was thinking, if she ever has to go down that road of selling, maybe that's a great segue for BMW to get back in the sport.
Hey.
I was hoping, I'm like, maybe BMW will say, we've been here before. We know your heritage. We have heritage here. Maybe like a partnership thing, right? I was kind of hoping, like, maybe this is the way BMW gets back in sport, right? Maybe that's the way, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I think this was a good fix for money issues, current, future, growing the company to bigger and better things. And basically, you also got to think about, you want a competitive car for George Russell, who's a great, if you give him a car, the guy will show what he can do. He was good in Formula 2. Latifi's another good young driver. Canadian. You give him a car, and I think that's what Claire wants to do. And she does not like, think about it. They have such a rich winning heritage, right? Top 4 in most wins. Now, I'm seeing in the comments, could he do that in the Williams? It's like they're looked down on, right? They're known as the bottom of the run team, and people kind of talk down on them, which I'm like, you all don't know who you're talking about.
They had 7 Constructors' Championship, I'm pretty sure, and I think like 5 drivers, but 7 Constructors' Championships. Williams was a beast to be reckoned with back in the day.
Late 80s, 90s.
And so, I sincerely hope that the ones that are talking negatively about Williams aren't Ferrari fans, because if Ferrari keeps the trend that they're doing, they will be the new Williams, quote unquote, very soon.
Well, you gotta realize Ferrari was good, but even to that point, late 80s, early 90s, they were the first team to come up with the paddle shifters, right?
Yeah.
But they had a lot of reliability issues back in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And then, early 90s, they start coming to fruition with their cars. They start getting good. And Schumi signed, right? So Williams, even from 2000 to like 2012, 13, Bottas did really well with them, right? They didn't do the best, but he did well enough. He got on the podium. So for them, there's such a rich racing history. When I see fans, I kind of chuckle, because I'm like, you know what? I don't know when you start watching Formula 1, but you don't know your history. Because to talk down on a team like that, you shouldn't do it. Right? You just should not do it. That team has so much rich winning history. Yeah. I know we're in a generation now of what have you done for me lately, but you can't talk about the now without acknowledging when they did and what they did and how they did it and the wins, right? So, yeah, I was disappointed, but at the same time, I'm thinking, look at the upside. I have more funds to do what you need to do, more competitive car, more sponsorship, right?
And they get to stay around.
They get to stay around, and they don't have to worry about financial woes. Will cripple anyone, right? You all know that. Babyface, that financial woes it's a big worry. It's an expensive sport. It comes down to the money. If you don't have the budget, you're not going to be competitive, and it's not going to be no longer worth it.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. I just hope, like we were talking about, that Williams is allowed to keep that.
Yeah.
What they've been, their name, how they do things, and we still get that same Williams team. It's just that an investment firm is going to come in and inject some money, some funding. That leads me to the next point, Babyface.
Yeah.
Guys, we were also talking about, and we got time, we can talk about it. Let us know in the comments what you think about the Williams situation. And I'm going to lead into what happens. I think Hülkenberg should be back on the grid.
Hülkenberg needs to be back on the grid.
He needs to be back on the grid. And what happens with Vettel? I think a lot of people, and I know we've talked about Ferrari, but Ferrari's done after this season, right? Vettel and Ferrari, it's looking like it's going to be an ugly split. And I told Babyface, I'm really wondering if he'll finish out the season this year after the last race, after they just totally forgot he was there, it seemed like. They just checked out, right? So I'm thinking about Hülkenberg. I'm like, where does he go? Does he get a seat? He deserves one. And many drivers and team managers, team bosses, they've said that. Owners, he deserves a seat.
Yeah.
Vettel deserves a seat. So, guys, let us know in the comments. Where do you all think? First, Hülkenberg. Where does he go? What's the best team fit for him? And if you're Hülkenberg, do you want to go back? Are you thinking, if I'm Hülkenberg, do I just want to get back in a sport like Alonso, just get back in there with a team?
I really hope that's not the attitude he has, because what I'm worried about, we just covered some thoughts on Haas.
Exactly. He doesn't want to go back to it, yeah.
I don't want Haas to pick up Hülkenberg. I just don't. Because I feel like he's going to get stuck. Again, not being able to show what he can do.
Because he has a lackluster car. Because Renault never really gave him a competitive. They were best of the rest, but True enough. I know people are going to say he could have got on a podium in Germany. It was wet. I get it. But how many other times can you say he could have got on the podium? The top 3 teams, let's not. Realistically, Renault was not competing nowhere near with a Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes the last, I don't know how many seasons. They just weren't. So I'm thinking about Hülkenberg. Ideally, Racing Point would be a good team to jump back into because they're competitive.
Yeah, but Racing Point,
there's no seats.
There's no space. Perez has come out and said, "I'm not going anywhere. I have another year. I'm not making space for Vettel." So you already don't have space for Vettel.
Stroll's not going anywhere.
Stroll's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Even though Stroll is performing, he's not going anywhere. So where do you put Hülkenberg and where do you put Vettel? Does Vettel take a year off and then wait till some of the contracts run their course?
I was thinking about that too.
He steps in. Because maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe Vettel needs a year away.
Yeah. Do the Alonso move, leave and come back?
Maybe he just needs some time to reset because, again, if you've watched and followed along Vettel, and based on the interviews that Vettel has given, Ferrari is where he wanted to be. Ferrari was his goal. It was always his goal. And let's face it, I mean, how many of us have had a dream and a goal that we've worked our entire life to reach, and then once we reach it, it didn't work out? Right. That has to be, I'm not going to say crushing, though that's probably a fitting word, but that has to be disheartening.
Right.
He worked his whole life for this. And not only did it not work out, the separation is going really messily. So what do you do now? Are you done with the sport? I don't think he's done with the sport. Maybe mentally he's kind of checked out a little bit. But I mean, don't just throw the sport away. You have still a lot to offer. You still have a lot of racing left in you.
That's what happens when you have a messy...
But maybe taking a year off is what he needs to kind of get that all out of his system, recycle it, really press the reset button, and come back fresh and enjoy the sport now that you've reached a goal, set a different goal.
For me, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's so much... I think Ferrari has drained him, right? And I don't think he's ready to give up on the sport, but we've seen with the last race. Guys, you've seen what happened to him that last race. He's asking them what to do, and the guy says, I mean, he doesn't really say anything. You think you can make the end of the race?
Listen, Reddit had the perfect cartoon for this, and I posted it. I was in tears when I saw that cartoon. Literally, it felt like, and you actually said it. You were like, what did the Ferrari team do? Did they just pack up and go home? Did they forget that Vettel was on the race?
I felt like they went back to the team cars and trucks and just, it'll be all right.
We're packing up, we're leaving.
Right.
It's not going very well, but where do you put him?
Guys, let us know in the comments. Do you think... I'm not sure where he goes next season. Do you all think he has a seat next season? Do you think Hülkenberg has a seat? Because the way it's looking, neither one is going to have a seat.
Maybe they come back for 2021? 2022?
2022, maybe. I'm pleading for BMW to come back to the sport.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Man, I'm pleading. BMW, come back.
Make Ralphie your consultant.
Come back. There's 2 drivers I can think of that would love to have seats.
Yes.
And I know they can build a car.
Oh, imagine Hülkenberg and Vettel, both German, on a German team.
Yep.
Oh, that would be good.
Guys, let us know. Would you like to see BMW? Because she'll tell you, I've been lobbying for BMW to come back to the sport.
Petition.
Yeah, come back to the sport, man. I think it'd be good.
BMW, come back. Yeah. Here are your 2 drivers. Make it happen.
Yeah, come back. I know it's very costly, but come back. I would love to see it.
Sell enough M2 competitions, you'll make the money.
Hey man, I'm really, and I was thinking about that. It's been on our mind, guys. We're talking about it. Let us know what you all think about these 2 drivers that deserve a seat. I know a lot of Ferrari fans have been hard on Vettel. I see it in the comments, but I'm like, if you're going to be hard on him, be hard on yourselves. Be hard on yourselves. Because there's often, you keep talking about everybody else's team, but you guys, up to this year, have had the fastest car. So to blame everything on one driver, okay. Okay, because to that point, Leclerc should have had a couple more wins. A failed turbo in the desert. Whose fault was that? I'm just thinking about these things. I'm saying Vettel deserves to have a seat, so does Hülkenberg. Where do they go? Because right now there's no room. I mean, Haas can literally make room, but they already know our two drivers are good enough. We just don't have the car. Renault's locked. My boys are locked. Racing Point seems to be locked. We all knew that, though. Who else? Williams? They seem to be locked. Latifi and Russell, they're not going anywhere. So, babyface,
I don't know.
The other two teams in the grid, Red Bull. I mean, I was also saying that. I mean, if you're Horner, do you make room for Vettel? But what do you do with Albon and Kvyat? Because that means Kvyat would have to leave Formula One to make room for Albon so Vettel can come. So I don't think that's going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So guys, let us know in the comments, what do you all think about these topics? We're talking about it. We have time. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on the notification bells. Let us know. Babyface, it's been a pleasure. Guys, it's been a pleasure. This is Formula for Speed. Any last words?
No.
That's it? No last words, Babyface?
BMW, come back.
I was waiting for it. BMW, come back. But again, guys, we appreciate your time. And again, thanks for watching Formula for Speed.